The knock came just as I was about to convince myself I had moved on. 3 slow, deliberate taps that could only belong to one person, the man I swore I would never see again. I didn't open the door right away. My chest tightened as memories crashed like waves. His laugh echoing on film sets, his fingers tracing promises they never kept, and the bitter taste of goodbye that still lingered on my tongue. My life had been a script rewritten overnight, one where love had no final act until tonight. When I finally turned the knob, the rain hit first cold, merciless, but then came his face, framed in the storm like a cruel déjà vu. Elijah Hart, the director who once made me believe in fairy tales, then tore them apart scene by scene. He was drenched, dark hair plastered against his forehead, leather jacket clinging like a second skin, his usual controlled aura cracked open by desperation. "Ethan," he said, my name breaking on his lips like it had cost him something to speak it. "We need to talk." Talk. The last time he said that, it ended with me packing my life into 2 suitcases and erasing his number, thinking it would erase the pain. But pain isn't that kind. It doesn't leave. It lingers like the smell of cigarettes in old clothes, stubborn and cruel. "You have 5 seconds before I close this door," I told him, gripping the frame to stop my hands from shaking. He didn't flinch. He stepped closer, rain dripping onto the welcome mat. His eyes, those same eyes that once undressed every lie I tried to wear, locking on mine. "Before you do, you should know. It wasn't real. What you think you know about me, about why I left you, was all a lie. Someone wanted us destroyed." I almost laughed, the kind of bitter laugh that curdles in your throat. That's Rich, Hollywood's golden boy, finally admitting he plays roles off camera too. But then he said something that froze me in place. Something so heavy it made the storm outside feel like a whisper. "They threatened to kill you, Ethan." The world tilted. My grip on the door loosened, and for a second, I thought I'd imagined it. But Elijah's gaze didn't waver, didn't blink. He was dead serious. "What the hell are you talking about?" I demanded, heart pounding like a drumline in my chest. He ran a trembling hand through his wet hair, breath shaky. "Back then, I didn't leave because I wanted to. I left because they gave me a choice: your life or your love. And I chose to keep you breathing." The room behind me felt smaller, suffocating. Everything I thought I knew, every scar I nursed like a badge of survival, started to split open. Anger surged hot in my veins, but underneath it, something colder stirred: fear. Maybe even the remnants of love I'd tried to bury 6 feet deep. "Get inside," I said, because the rain was getting worse and because I needed answers more than I needed distance. He stepped past me, dripping onto the hardwood, carrying the storm inside. The scent of him, rain, leather, and something achingly familiar hit me like a punch. I hated that it still did things to me. I closed the door, sealing us in with the ghosts. Elijah looked around like he was memorizing the life I built without him, his jaw tight. "You still hate me," he said quietly. "Congratulations," I shot back. "You're very observant." Silence stretched, heavy and electric. Then softer. "I never stopped loving you, Ethan. Not for a second." My laugh came sharp this time, a blade against my teeth. "Love? You call disappearing in the middle of the night love? You call leaving me to pick up the pieces while you kept directing blockbuster fantasies love?" His eyes burned with something raw, something that almost made me want to believe him. "I call saving your life love." The words hung between us like a live wire, sparking, daring me to touch and burn. I wanted to tell him to stop, to shove every syllable back down his throat, but my body betrayed me. My hands curled into fists at my sides, nails digging into my palms like I could anchor myself against the gravity he brought with him. "Start talking," I said, voice low, shaking despite everything in me screaming for control. He did. Names, threats, a web of power thicker than any script we'd ever read together spilled from his lips. A producer with too much money and too many secrets. A scandal that could have buried half of Hollywood alive. And me, just a small-town guy who fell in love with the wrong man at the wrong time, standing dead center of the crosshairs. "They told me if I didn't cut you out, they'd do worse than end your career," Elijah said, his voice breaking like glass. They said they'd make sure you didn't live to see your next sunrise. And I believed them, Ethan, because I've seen what they do to people who get in their way. My chest rose and fell like I just run a marathon, every word slicing through me. I wanted to hate him for keeping this from me. I wanted to hate myself for understanding why he did. But most of all, I hated that even now, after everything, I still loved him enough to listen. I turned away, pacing to the window. Rain streaked the glass like 1,000 veins, city lights bleeding into the night. You should have trusted me, I whispered, barely audible even to myself. You should have given me a choice. I couldn't risk it, he said. I spun, heat flaring in my chest. You think I wanted this? You think I wanted to wake up every day wondering why I wasn't enough? Wondering what I did wrong? My voice cracked, raw and unfiltered. You broke me, Elijah. You broke me, and now you're standing here like you expect me to thank you. He crossed the room in 2 strides, his hand catching mine before I could pull away. I don't expect you to thank me, he said, his voice shaking like the storm outside. I need you to know the truth before it's too late. The heat of his palm against mine burned, a brand I thought I'd erased. His eyes were oceans wild, endless, and drowning me all over again. Why now? I whispered. Why tonight? Because they're gone, he said. Because for the first time in years, I can look you in the eye without wondering if it's the last time I'll see you alive. Silence. Heavy. Suffocating. My heart was a drum in my ribs, pounding out a rhythm that didn't feel like hate anymore. I pulled my hand back not because I didn't want to touch him, but because I wanted to too much, and that terrified me. Elijah, I don't know if I can go back, I said, voice trembling. I don't know if I can survive loving you again. He stepped closer, slow, deliberate, his breath mingling with mine. Then don't survive it, he murmured. Live it. With me. And God help me, the dam broke. One moment I was standing there, fighting for the last scrap of my pride. The next, his mouth was on mine, hungry, desperate, tasting of rain and regret and every unsaid word between us. I hated him in that kiss. I loved him in that kiss. And when I pulled him closer instead of pushing him away, I knew I was lost. His hands framed my face like he was afraid I'd vanish, and maybe I was, because every part of me wanted to melt into him, to forget the years and the pain and everything but this. When we finally tore apart, breathless, foreheads pressed together, I whispered the only truth I had left. If you ever leave me again, it won't be them you should worry about. It'll be me. His laugh was hoarse, broken, and beautiful. Deal, he said, before kissing me again like a man starved for air. The storm outside raged on. But inside, in that small house that had never felt like home until now, we found something stronger than fear, stronger than secrets. We found us. A soft glow of morning filtered through the curtains hours later, painting his skin in shades of gold. I watched him sleep, chest rising and falling like a quiet promise. For the first time in years, peace didn't feel like a stranger. Maybe love wasn't about fairy tales or perfect endings. Maybe it was about surviving the wreckage together and still choosing to stay. And as his fingers brushed mine in his sleep, I knew one thing for certain this time. There would be no goodbyes. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.